O sinner, do not stray from the straight and narrow way, for the Lord is surely watching what you do. If you approach the devil's den, turn round, don't enter in, lest the hand of the Almighty fall on you.
Alright, everybody. Now, this is episode 2 of my Apologetics series. It's called Please Convert, It's Easy. Now, this is because I decided to make this episode because after my first episode with about how to prove dinosaurs, I had some comments that tell me that some people still aren't really ready to believe. And I know a lot of you are heathens, but I do love you, alright? Even though you might not think I do, man, I do. And I'm here to tell you how to go to heaven with me, because I'll be there and you can be there too. Now, I know a lot of you are big believers in scientists and think that, all right, well, the scientific method is the great explainer of all these great mysteries in nature. Even though there's so many things in nature that we don't understand, all right? But I'm going to use science and logic to convince you that God exists and that that Jesus is God and God is Jesus, all right? And then I'll conclude by telling you why you should be a Christian too and how you can become like that. Okay, first off, we have to understand that we're people, okay? We're people and we're not perfect. We're not wholly knowledgeable, but we're limited and finite by our own nature. How do we know this? First, because we die. We know that we're going to die, okay? And we're also limited because we only use 10% of our brain power, okay? Scientists tell us this. 10%. Does this make you very confident? This is why people are skeptical about God. If we hadn't sinned, and actually Adam sinned, but we sinned because of Adam. So basically through that, we lost the other 90% of our brain power. And we wouldn't even come up with all these silly questions if we hadn't sinned, but we did. So now we only have 10%. So we have to infer things. All right, a lot of people have problems believing because they say, well, miracles aren't possible and they're everywhere in the Bible. Really? Miracles aren't possible? Think about that. In a philosophical sense, they are possible. They are. In a material sense, no, they're not possible. But this is because we've decided to put our faith in a scientific method that can't answer all of our questions. Now, can science prove that the universe was caused or uncaused? No. Can science disprove heaven? No. All science can do is tell me, I need to drink my milk to have strong bones and make sure I brush my teeth. Wow. Now, science can't account for everything in our universe. Metaphysics and philosophy can, because they explain the possibility of certain causes. Now, wouldn't you rather take a chance on not having an answer, even if it might be the wrong answer, than not having an answer at all? Think of life like the SAT. You can't win, you can't go to college if you don't take the test. You can't go to heaven if you don't have faith. And, you can't get the right answer and pass the test if you don't pick one. If you're an atheist or an agnostic, you're essentially giving up. You're not making a choice. And I'm not like that. I'd rather pick a choice because there's a possibility I could be correct. All right? So science can't answer our most important questions, but religion can. And since we have a limited brain and we put our faith in a method which is itself limited, we fail to consider the possibilities. The most important one being that God does exist. So now we have a choice. We can either say, okay, I'm going to use my 10% brain power and my limited scientific knowledge that can't account for everything, and I say, okay, this is enough. Or we can say that this isn't enough and we can infer that God does exist. All right? Now, Would you be comfortable to bet your life and your eternal future on a 10% understanding of your existence? I'm not. So now let's prove that Jesus was God, because only Jesus was God. So why was Jesus God? For two reasons. First, he claimed he was God. Second, he performed miracles. Now, people doubt this because they say, oh, that was just written a long time ago and there's no way we can confirm this. Well, you're really missing the point. Jesus was God. He proved himself that he was God to people while he was incarnated, and people wrote about it because it was true so that the people after them would believe. Jesus, where's Jesus now? Well, Jesus is in heaven and he's preparing a place for us. And this is more important than him coming down here every generation to perform an encore of turning water into wine, of walking on water, of being crucified and resurrected from the dead. He already did that. He has other things. And he already did that, and it was enough for the people at that time, and it should be enough for us now. Now, Now now we have another choice. We can either use our 10% understanding of existence, or we can believe that God created everything and exists and is Jesus. Now, this is all you need to believe and be a Christian. There's a lot of great people on here that'll tell you the steps you need to take in your life and change your life so that you can be a good Christian. Some of the things they've said, like you got to stop sinning, like, be it being a gay or being a Democrat or reading books by Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris, that stuff, Well, granted, being a Democrat isn't a sin in itself, but it's kind of like a sin because you enable people to make laws that God doesn't like saying things that, you shouldn't be able to pray to Jesus in public schools. And this is why we have so much school violence. But I'll deal with that in another video. Reading books by non-believers is also bad because it tests your faith, which makes you want to test God and hold him accountable, even though you're only using 10% of your brain power. And we really shouldn't do this because this isn't in the Bible, but having faith is in the Bible. Second, another important step is, you basically have to go to church and be baptized and make sure that, your kids and your wife or your girlfriend go too, so they become converted as well. Unless you don't want them to come to heaven. But no, that's a really bad joke. I shouldn't joke like that. Because, if you're a Christian, you want everybody to come to heaven, even people that might not, they might annoy you. Now, this is all you need. The video could end here, but I'm going to include a little bonus on why being a Christian is great. And this is for people I know, and there might be people like this out there. This should appeal to the capitalists out there because it's based on greed and self-interest. And this is all these people care about. What do I get out of it? Why, if I get something out of it, I'll do it. Whatever. It's okay. So God loves everyone, even capitalists like you, which is why he thought of a way to get them to believe in him. What is that way? Heaven. Now, why? So you may ask, well, why would I want to come to heaven? Is it a great deal? Well, yeah, it is. A lot of people deride the fact that, it's going to be an endless song recital. Well, it will be that, but it's going to be good too. Think about it. Where is Jesus right now? He's in heaven, right? What is he doing up there? He's preparing a place for us. You got that? He's preparing a place. What kind of place? Mansions. That's right. Mansions, not houses, mansions. And what kind of streets are we going to have? Streets paved with gold, all right? Gold, okay? So believe in heaven, because heaven is great because we got mansions, we got streets paved with gold, and it's going to be like a big concert that's never going to end, just singing hymns all the time. So we have a lot of people say, well, you're giving me one thing, but you got to give me an alternative. All right, I'll give you the alternative, all right? Hell, all right? Hell. That's where you go if you don't go to heaven. So it's going to be pretty bad because God's not going to be there. There are not going to be any hymns, no mansions, no streets paved with gold. What are you going to have there? You're going to have fire, brimstone, and torture. Torture, man. Some non-believers ask me, like, why would a loving God send people to hell? It just seems so ungodly. Well, I actually think it's very godly. Why? Because we have a choice. We know about this beforehand. We have a choice. And here on earth, we could choose to become like millionaires, like heavenaires or whatever, and we could have a mansion, we could have streets with gold, we could have singing careers, or we could choose to live in a place that makes Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib look like cakewalks, all right? So I think the answer to the question is that God decided to create the two places with such stark consequences to get us to believe in him. Think of it, let me use an analogy. It's kind of like two corners, two owners and two corners of a room, all right? And we're the little puppy in the middle. And they're both trying to entice us to come to them to be their puppy, all right? And Satan, he's telling us, oh, come to me. But he shows us his whip. And he lets us know that when we come to him, he's going to whip us for eternity. God, on the other hand, he has a bowl of pedigree. He has a chew bone in front of him. And he's asking us to come to him. Now, if I was a puppy, I know what I'd choose. Won't you join me? The only thing you have to overcome is your limited brain power that is very limited. Think of all that you have to gain, Remember, I love you, and God does too.